Hello, everybody. I'm Rikki Smith. Welcome to Faith on Friday Presents. At Faith on Friday Presents, our goal is to drive motivation by closing the door on the comfort zone, to foster inspiration by showing you what's possible, and to create transformation by challenging those negative mindsets. And don't forget, while you're here, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, and make sure to share this with your network. So today is for all of those overachievers. You know who you are, the ones that got it all done, get it all squared away, the one that everyone's coming to ask for advice, give you feedback, and expect you to get it all done. Well, someplace in the back of your mind, there's a little voice that says, are you sure you are where you're supposed to be? Maybe you're not as good as you think, or worse yet, you don't even belong here. Well, today we want to make sure to tell that little voice to be quiet because you've got a lot of things to do. But before we jump into all that, y'all say hello to my guest today, Miss Charisse Pierce. Hello, Miss Shereice.
Hello, Rikki. I'm so happy to be here today.
I'm excited to have you because this right here is a subject that a lot of people deal with. But before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're located.
Rikki, I am located in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I work with women and professionals who look successful on paper but feel stretched too thin, out of rhythm, or just quietly disconnected from what matters most to them. So my work centers on helping them create space to listen to themselves again, to gain clarity, to find balance that fits their current season, and to live in a way that is aligned and feels as good on the inside as it looks on the outside. And I love doing that.
Wow, that is a whole lot going on. But so much of that stuck out because how many of us, as business owners, as family, people holding the family together, as students, as volunteers, as community leaders, we all kind of feel all of those things. So,
Mhm.
Cherise, how is it that you got into this sort of work? What's your background?
Yeah, that is a really good question, Rikki. And I have really been drawn to personal development for most of my adult life. So in my 20s, I was introduced to the idea that even when you can't change your circumstances, you can change how you think of them or how you relate to them.
Yeah.
And that was a turning point for me. So I started paying closer attention to my own inner life, to my mindset, my patterns, the stories I was telling myself. And I naturally began sharing what I was learning with others. And
Mm.
then later, when I moved into human resources as a profession, I found myself in roles where coaching, listening, and supporting people through challenges was part of the work. And over time, that support became the part of my job that I felt the most connected to.
Oh, wow.
Eventually, I realized this wasn't just something I did, it was something I wanted to build intentionally. And that's when I formalized my coaching practice.
Oh, wow. That is so good. I mean, but as an HR professional, because we have a lot of HR professionals that watch the show, and we are so
Hmm.
grateful for them. And to them, I say thank you for your service. My background is in HR as well, but I got
Okay.
out before it got crazy. So, that's a lot. But, you said your own inner voices, the stories that you were
Hmm.
telling yourself, were they
Hmm.
always good or were they sort of like everybody else's? I look amazing on paper, but oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I had that same negative, sort of voice in my head that so many
Yeah.
of us have that is
Mm-hmm.
questioning and making you feel that, no matter what you achieve, there's always something bigger and greater that you should be chasing.
Yeah.
And, I am also a perfectionist by nature. That doesn't
Ooh.
help.
No, it does
It
not.
doesn't help at all, because I want to do everything to the best of my ability.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I achieve anything, I always, have trouble celebrating that achievement because I'm always
Yeah.
thinking about how maybe it wasn't done perfectly. Even though I hit the mark, it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
perfect. It wasn't the way that it was in my head.
Wow.
And then I, have felt, I still struggle with that today, but in the past, I always felt too that people were watching and judging. And, it just made it very much harder than it needed to be.
Yeah. Here's a secret though, too, Sharice. People are watching. And they are judging, just so you know.
Yes, yes. So two things are true, I think, about that, Rikki. When I was younger, my family members told me, girl, nobody's paying attention to you. But I
Mm-hmm.
found that they really were. So
Yeah.
sometimes the things that you think people don't pay attention to are the things that they notice. And so
Yeah.
you can't turn it off and assume nobody's watching, but you also
Mhm.
can't live your life based on what you think people will say or how they'll react. You
That
just
is
can't, you
so
just can't
good.
do it.
That is so
Hmm.
good and so true because you said something earlier too, though, about the life that you want to live. You can't
Hmm.
live the life you want to live worrying about being constantly concerned
Yes.
about what other people are
Yes.
thinking, saying about you. I mean,
Yes.
because then now you're living the life they wanted you to live, which, by the way, may not be
Yes.
any fun whatsoever.
Exactly.
And then now here you are trying to be as I see you're a perfectionist, you said by nature. I'm a former people
Hmm.
pleaser. And
Okay.
for those of us that are and have been or reformed people pleasers, that struggle for us was real
Yes. And
because
I
we
think
kept
people
listening to it.
pleasing and yes, and I think people pleasing and perfectionism are like first cousins. They're very closely related.
I like it first cousin, probably. But then too, do you find in that you don't like yourself very much because the way you feel about yourself is dependent on what somebody else thinks, believes, or feels about
Yes.
you?
Yes, it's really giving your power away. And
Ooh.
if you're always measuring yourself by what other people think you should be doing and whether or
Mhm.
not other people feel like you've met the mark, you will always leave someone disappointed and you will always, feel bad
Yeah.
about yourself. So
Yeah.
that measure has to be taken internally, not externally.
That's so good. So, as you got started on this journey, what kind of changes did you see in yourself? Because you said you still kind of got your perfectionism going on. Do you tell
Mhm.
yourself better stories now? Are you nicer to yourself?
Oh, yes, 100%. And I will say too, I think some of this comes with just maturity.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
true.
as young as I used to be.
Who is?
And yes, and as you get older, I think that there's a natural tendency to go inward and think about what's really important
Yeah,
versus what you think people feel is important
that's so
externally.
true.
And that's a lot of the work I do is to help my clients really
Hmm.
go inward and do that work and figure out if they don't already know, but to figure out
Yeah.
what really is meaningful to them in that particular season.
That's so good. In your coaching, do you help them kind of go backwards to find out where some of this comes from? Because I know a lot of us, we grew up with it, whether you had demanding parents, whether you had laissez-faire parents, whether you had
Yeah,
traumatic childhood, or whether you had, a dress right dress, perfect childhood, and all was well.
yeah.
A lot of this comes from somewhere. Is that fair to say?
I think it is fair to say that 100%. And in my coaching, I don't necessarily, I want to make sure that I differentiate between coaching and therapy or
Yeah,
counseling.
definitely.
And yeah, that therapy and counseling really gets down, deep into the whys of it.
Yeah.
It is helpful to know that from a coaching perspective, but it's not really necessary. What's
Hmm.
really more helpful from a coaching perspective is recognizing that you are in a different place and you want to change that narrative and being willing to do the work. So you have to recognize it, but you don't
Hmm.
have to necessarily know where it came from. For
Yeah.
some
Oh,
clients,
that's
it can be
good.
helpful, but it's not a
Yeah.
requirement.
Oh, I love that. Because you don't really necessarily look at it like that because you think that I know this came from someplace. Maybe I need to find the root cause first before I can move forward. And what you're saying is it's
Hmm.
not required.
No,
You know
it's
where you
not.
are and you know where you want to be.
Exactly,
Oh my
100.
gosh. So how do you help your clients get there? Because I know one of the things you said at the beginning is you help them find clarity. How do you help
Yes.
somebody find clarity when they're not, I've got so many balls in the air right now. I have no idea
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
I can even figure this out.
That's a good question. And the first step is pausing, right? Just stop. Stop all those balls in the air. Pretend that you are bewitched or I dream of Genie
Hmm.
and just snap your fingers and cause all of that to pause for a minute.
Yeah.
Now, the first thing that I like to do with clients, and I typically get clients from two schools of thoughts. One that we're talking about now, that they just don't know what the
Hmm.
thing is. They just know that something feels off. And
Hmm.
then I have other clients who do feel like they know what the thing is. And so we can jump in right away and start working through that.
Oh,
But
great.
sometimes, the work through brings up some other things that they didn't
Yeah.
expect. But for those, Rikki, who just don't know where to start, I do have an assessment that I have my clients take to begin with. And
Mm,
we work through, have some very targeted questions that help them to identify where there are gaps, what areas in their
mhm,
lives there are gaps. And then based on that, the results of the assessment, then we start to talk through, these different areas of life. And regardless of whether or not they score high in a certain area of the assessment, for
mhm,
example, career and professional life is one of the areas. They
right.
may score high in that area, but we still spend a session discussing that and digging deep into it because there could be
Mhm.
something underneath it. And so
Yeah.
once we've started with the assessment, had those conversations to discuss the results and
Mhm,
any, information around that, then
mhm.
that usually gives us a good place to target to start the work.
That's so good. Now, you said earlier about who you work with. Can you remind us who it is that you work with? I know you said it was high performing. Is it women only, men as well? Who is it you're working with?
Yeah, good question. I work with women and professionals, so I say it that way. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason is I would love to just say professionals, but this type of work seems to attract women more often
Mm-hmm.
than men or,
Yeah.
others who identify as a different gender.
Mm-hmm.
This seems to be a problem that women feel more motivated to fix. Although when I
Wow.
talk about this with men and I share this is what I do, and I say I primarily work with women,
Mm-hmm.
almost every man that I have that conversation with says, well, I could benefit from that,
Yeah.
and it's true. I think that
Mm-hmm.
they absolutely could benefit from it, but women seem more motivated to
Yeah.
actually jump in and do the work.
Yeah. That's so interesting because when you think of men and women and these sorts of topics and conversations, women have a tendency, and you'll have to help me whether you agree, they have a tendency, we'll talk about it. It's out there. All I need is some time, probably a glass of wine and a good girlfriend, and we can get it all fixed. Whereas
Yes.
men, they were raised differently. Is that fair to
Yes.
say they were raised differently?
That is what I feel, just based on my own lived experience around
Mm-hmm.
this. And that's why I think women are more likely to jump in and do the work. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to be clear and share that I have had some male clients who were
Sure.
willing to do the work, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean that to be a general blanket statement towards
Right.
men, but I
Mm-hmm.
agree with you. I think that men are more likely to sort of just brush it over and not deal
Yeah.
with those feelings of something feeling off. They just kind
Mm-hmm.
of push through it and it's just more of a, they kind of beat
Yeah.
their chest and just keep it moving.
Yeah, but it's so funny because how many of us as women, mothers who are working full time, going to school, going to the PTA, doing all their church activities, all the things, we're so busy, we've been trained, if you will,
Yes.
to be that. And we've been trained to be that and make it look easy in a
Yes.
pair of
Yes.
heels and pearls. I'm just saying.
Yes.
And it can be hard. Whereas men were taught to, this is not only should you, this is just your job. This is your
Yeah.
responsibility. This is what you're
Yeah.
supposed to do. And anything
Yeah.
less than that makes you look less than that. And I'm so
Yeah.
glad to hear that you have some clients that are men. So for my men who are watching, y'all, we do not think less of you. Get your life together and there is help
Yes.
available.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah. I just, because, being a mother of, I have boys and girls. I want all my kids to feel that they can get the help that they need, that it's okay. There's nothing wrong with you because nobody knows everything.
Right, exactly. And Rikki, I'm a boy mom. So my
Oh,
boys have heard a lot of this over the years
okay.
and it was informal and not always connected, but
Sure.
one of the things that I can say, that comes to mind as far as the boys is
Mm,
that feeling, and I know girls have this as well because I experienced it.
sure.
But in high school, there's that feeling that like all the other kids around you have it together and you're the only one
Oh,
who feels like, you're
right?
having some kind of different experience. And I think it starts like middle school, high school,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in that frame, because in elementary school, nobody feels like, they
Yep.
don't have that feeling. You're just playing on the playground and eating your
Yep.
lunch and,
Hanging
living your
out.
best life.
Right.
But in middle and high school, that's when that disconnect starts to come
Yeah.
in. And I have shared with my boys when they were in those phases of life that
Mhm.
you're not the only one who's feeling that way. The person beside
So
you
good.
feels that way too. They don't
So
show
good.
it. and basically neither are you showing it,
Yeah,
right? So,
right.
but it's not just you. I don't
It's
know if
not
they
just you.
believed me, but I
No,
hope it helped.
just so you know, mommy, they don't. They won't. They'll believe it when somebody else's mom tells them, and then they're going to come home and share it with you like it's the first time I've ever heard it. It's a
Yes.
thing. But
Mm-hmm.
I love what you said. That is so true. Everyone's dealing with it. Just
Mm-hmm.
because you don't say anything about it doesn't mean that it's not happening.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say years and years ago, don't judge your outside, don't judge your inside by someone else's outside because it may
Oh.
look amazing and you're looking
Mm-hmm.
at them going, you got it all together when they're doing the same thing to you. They're looking at you like you, because both
Yes.
of us on the inside are going, oh my God, oh my
Yes.
God, oh my God.
Yes.
You
I
know,
agree
and that
100%.
is something I hold on to that. And it has helped me because it makes me think that, okay, I'm not the only one.
Right.
Somebody's got to be
Yes.
bold enough to go say hi. That's crazy.
Y-
So,
Yes.
sure, tell us, what is the name of your business?
Cordison Consulting.
Okay, where'd you get the name from? Because that's interesting.
Well, I wasn't prepared to answer this question. I will say
That's
that
okay.
it's a family name.
Okay.
It's actually a mashup of my maternal grandparents' name. So my
Okay.
grandmother was Cora and my grandfather was Edison. And so I put those two together and came up with Courtesan.
That
And
is awesome.
yeah, I won't go into the specifics, but I
Sure.
was and continue to be very inspired by both of them. And they've
Mm.
both passed on, but this is a way that I felt that I wanted to honor them.
That is
Thank you for asking that.
fantastic. No, it's one of those things when I hear interesting names, either your first name, last name, or your business name, I always ask the same question, what does your name mean? Because when you
Yeah,
have an interesting name or an interesting business name, people will ask you, where did you get that name from?
yeah, yeah.
So,
I'm glad you asked. Thank you.
because you'll be ready the next time somebody asks you.
I will.
So, as you are working with these clients and things, where is it that they end up going after they finish working with you? What are the results that they get after hanging out with you?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so I feel like I don't my clients don't ever get too far from me.
Mm,
So I have some re-engagement. The thing about doing this kind
interesting.
of work is that it's something that needs to be revisited so often.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're talking about clarity, balance, and alignment, which are the three pillars that my coaching philosophy is built on, it
Mm-hmm.
changes. When you get
Excellent.
into a new season of life, things are different. What
That's
was
true.
most important to you in your 30s may very well change in your 40s, or what
100%.
was most important before you became a parent may change after you become a parent,
Yeah.
or, whatever these before and after scenarios are, just
Mm-hmm.
life and growth
I
put you
love
in
it.
different spots. And so there's always the need that this is not a one and done.
Yeah.
There's always a need to revisit,
Mm-hmm.
realign, and see where things stand at any
Yeah.
given season of life.
I like that, the seasons, because they do change.
Hmm.
When you were young and making babies, the most important thing was sleep. Now that they're grown and paying their own bills, you're now thinking
Hmm.
other things and empty
Yes,
nesters, changing
yes.
positions, starting your own business,
Hmm.
retirement. There's
Yes.
so many different seasons that change.
Hmm.
That is so good. That's something you literally go through them, but you don't think about it. Huh.
Yes, yes.
And what
Hmm.
aligned
Agreed.
then may be different, connected, but a different alignment
Yes,
later.
yes.
I
Yes.
like that.
And that's where that feeling, Ricky, that we talked
Mm,
about earlier of
mm.
something being off, that is where it
Yeah,
shows up a lot because something has changed. You're in a new season, but you're still chasing the success that sort of set a goal around
yeah,
in an earlier season. And so if you don't take time to pause and think through that and figure out where am I now,
right.
that feeling of misalignment and something being off can be,
Oh my
very
gosh.
present. Yeah.
That is so
Hmm.
good and so true. I'm gonna have to rethink my little life choices right now. That's awesome. Sharice, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, finish this conversation, or work with you, where's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, the best place is my website, courtisonconsulting.com. There's a lot of information there about the coaching packages that I offer and what are the results expected. And, this is for you if you are dot, dot, dot. So there's a lot of good information there. So I would recommend that folks go to my website. And there's also an opportunity there to connect with me for a discovery call. But Rikki, I have a special offer for your audience if I could tell you about
Ooh!
that.
Oh my gosh, special, special. Yes, please tell us everything.
So, if anything we've talked about resonated today, I would like to share a link for a short mini assessment. And that's for anyone who's curious about their own clarity, balance, and alignment in this season. So, this mini assessment takes less than 5 minutes to complete, and I do review each one personally and provide a response with a personalized insight based on what's shared in the assessment. So, I would love to share the link for that and offer it to your audience as a free gift.
She said the magic word, y'all. She said free. Woo! I love it. Don't worry, everybody. If you did not get all of her contact information in the freebie, everything is going to be in the description below. And don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, and share this with your network. Oh my gosh, Shereice, this is so good. I want to take the assessment myself. I'm excited about that. But before I
Yay!
let you go, my friend, we got to play a game. Yay!
Oh
This game
boy.
is super easy. You're a boy mom, you'll be fine. This is the game is called This or That. I'm going to give you the choice of a couple of things and you, my friend, just tell me off the top of your head which one you like the best. Are you ready to
Okay.
play?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do this. All right. Flowers or plants?
Flowers.
Hotel or tent?
Hotel for sure.
Same girl. I'm not sleeping outside anymore. I was in the military, but I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not sleeping outside. All right. Practical joker or I don't play like that.
I don't play like that.
There's a story behind that. I can just hear it. But same, I don't like that. Candlelight or moonlight?
Ooh, candlelight.
Oh, very nice. What's the first thing you notice about somebody when you meet them? Their eyes or their smile?
Their eyes.
Oh, very nice. Fight, flight, or freeze?
Fight.
Really?
Fight.
Girl said, don't come for me unless I call you. I love it.
And
These are my
and
people.
not in a bad way, Ricky. What I mean by that is
Mhm.
I will always step into the challenge.
Like I said, don't come for me unless I call you. Anyway, and finally, my friend, if you had to do it all over again, what's one thing that you would change?
Oh wow. This is akin to another question that I ask myself a lot. If I could go back and talk to a younger version of myself,
Mhm.
I would tell her that some of those difficult times are not her real life, okay?
So
And
good.
they won't last forever. So just get through it. And on the other side of that is something so much better. So
Hmm. We all should have told ourselves that. I'm still stuck on fight, flight, or freeze. Girl said fight. Don't play with me. Anyway, Sharice, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
thank you, Ricky. It's been a pleasure being here and talking with you.
All right, everybody, that's it for this week. But don't worry, we'll be back next week with more Faith on Friday Presents.